This is Romo Dunze, and you're listening to the Ballsville podcast.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it.
Welcome in, Ballsville gamers, to another episode of the Ballsville podcast. I am your host, Scott Fitzgerald, a.k.a. Lutz, for sale on Sleeper. And this episode is brought to you by the BallsvilleGames.com. Our games combine fantasy football and poker, which create big payouts with great odds. All right, gamers, welcome in for another episode of the Ballsville podcast. I will introduce you to my panel. My co-host with a monster win this weekend. He's Bills Mafia. He goes by Slam. Sleeper.
He
What's up, Sean?
all the way. Touchdown! 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 The Bills make me want to.
He's muted. He doesn't even know.
Oh, I'm not muted. I was just playing the song, buddy.
Oh, you're doing the silent, huh? Jesus. Sure. And down below us is our good old boy from West Texas. He goes by C-Bomb on Sleeper. He is Connor. What's up, Connor?
How's it going? Thanks for having me again.
All right. So we have a pretty big week this week. Got a big show.
Go Bills.
We're going to talk some news and notes. We're going to talk some redraft, high stakes, mid stakes, and low stakes. And then we'll get into some the player performances for the week. So we're going to start off with some news and notes. Not too many injuries this week, which was great. We did have Jake Ferguson go down with a concussion. So that's monitor that. I think this might have been the second week in a row we haven't had like a catastrophic positional player get, out for the year. So
knock on wood.
That's really good going into when these teams are going into the playoffs. So going from there, we're going to go right to my co-host there, and we are going to talk about the game of the week. The Kansas City Chiefs, they traveled to a cold Buffalo to play in Buffalo for the big possibly AFC matchup preview. And I'm going to go right to my co-host and go ahead and break down that game, Sean. I know you were pretty pumped.
Yeah, I mean, it was amazing. So I watched that game at a family party with, probably 6 Chiefs fans that are friends of my brother's growing up. So, it's been years and years back and forth with us. And, I was pretty much there on my own. The only ones I had that had my back were my 4-year-old and twin niece and nephews. Everybody else was Chief colors, including my other nephew. My newborn baby nephew was wearing Chiefs colors because my brother is a Chiefs fan, which drives me up a wall. But that's another story for another time. So the game mode itself was really, really epic, man. I kind of was hoping that it would be that type of performance from Buffalo. I knew that would be what it would take to win that game. And the thing that I really liked the most is that we were able to take a defense that hadn't allowed over 30 points since dating back to last season, and we're able to put a 30 burger on them and come away with the win. And it's kind of been one of those things I've looked at with the Chiefs all season is their defense has been the reason that they have won, and they haven't ran into a team like Buffalo who has an offense that does have the potential to put 30 points on them. So when that happened, their offense wasn't able to do what they needed to do to win. So, that's an Achilles heel for that Chiefs team potentially. And they do have a couple of games coming up. I believe the Chargers are one of them. And there's one other opponent I believe they have that I could easily see beating them at the way they're playing right now. And if that happens with this win, that puts Buffalo in the AFC East or the AFC, driver's seat for the number 1 seed. So the game was great. Josh was amazing. That 4th down play, I was sitting there mad at Sean McDermott for even going for it. And then as soon as Josh scored the touchdown, the first thing I said was, I knew we should have went for it. So, just like every true fan would do, right? So, I mean, it was an amazing experience, a lot of fun. And I'm really glad that not only did we win, but that we got a really, really great game again for the record books with these two, Josh and Mahomes. It's always fun to watch those two go to town.
Got you. All right. Well, that's some good AFC analysis from Sklem. And I'm going to go over to Connor, and I'm going to talk to Connor about I call them the Detroit Madden Lions because they're like a video game. 645 total yards, 50 burgers galore. Is this the best offense in the league, Connor?
Yeah, I'd say so. That they've been producing like it the last couple of weeks. So as long as Goff, basically plays perfect, like he has been, one of the highest completion rates in the league so far. They've looked great. Montgomery's looked great. Gibbs looked great. Amon-Ra and JMO, and then you have I think Laporta was even out this week, so and they still put up 50. So
what's up, Jerry? Jerry's in the chat. What's up?
I like how you have the Packers fan talk about the Lions and make him hype up the Lions. That was nice of you.
So yeah, so I've told told people before, I live here, live half the year here in Michigan, and the talk on town is basically Super Bowl or bust. I've seen so many people wearing Lion stuff. I mean, the city's all in. After what happened last year, we're ready to go. Now I'm not so drunken over the whole situation. There's still a lot of good teams in the NFC, especially the Eagles. They scare me a lot. Even having to play like let's just say another game against the Packers or against the Vikings, that would still, I don't think I'd be too scared with the Vikings, but the Green Bay would always still kind of scare me a little bit. But other than that, the Lions are just on a roll. They're on a tear, and they do have a couple. The schedule does get a little harder. I know they have Indy coming up, which should be good, but they still got to play Chicago outside. They still got to play San Francisco outside. But if we can lock up that number 1 seed, the Lions will never play another game outside, because the Super Bowl, if I remember right, is in where? New Orleans
Yep.
this year. So if they can lock up that number 1 seed, they got a good
And
chance.
so am I if Bills get there, just so you guys know.
Yeah, that would be a pretty epic Super Bowl. I
will sell my car to get to that Super Bowl, especially if it's Buffalo and Lions. That would be like the ultimate for me growing up, having family in Detroit and having them as like my NFC team, and knowing one of them is going to walk away with a trophy would be epic.
Yeah, no doubt. So, okay, we're going to go on. We're going to talk about, even though they suck at football, we're going to talk about the New York Jetropolitans. I did reach out to them in the pod and let the owner know if he needs any advice on how to run his team. He can just get a hold of me at theballsville.com and get a hold of us. And he listened, because they gave Breece Hall the ball 23 times. And they almost won that game, and the defense let them down.
They should have won the game.
They should have won the game. Aaron Rodgers was
it cost the GM his job too.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers was how Aaron Rodgers should be playing. Throw your dink and dunks. Don't be a hero. Give the ball to your best player. But a good thing for the Jetropolitans is if they keep losing like they should get a top 3 draft pick, and they can go ahead and draft the heir apparent to Aaron Rodgers, because
Zach Wilson 2.0.
I don't know what's going to happen next year, but Connor, if the Jets have a top 3 pick, are they drafting a quarterback?
Yeah, for sure.
Sean?
I think the Jets are drafting a quarterback no matter where their pick falls, and if they have to trade up, they're going to.
Yeah, I don't know. They need a lot. I mean, they need. Offensive line has been terrible.
That's not how that team thinks, though, man. They're
I'm not
type of team. They want that high-end guy.
Yeah, but I mean, they need a lot. Like I said, offensive line has been not good. Their defensive line hasn't really produced like they thought it was going to. Clemens has took a step back. A couple of those guys have taken a step back. But I think if they can get one of the Shadors or whoever's going to be the top quarterback in the draft, I think they obviously going to take him. I think if they make a push here late, which I don't see happening, but if they do, then they might stay with Aaron another year. But I think there's a report that came out today that basically said it would take something crazy to happen for Aaron to even come back next year. So
I don't think he's coming back. I think he knows that if he comes back, it's just going to be worse on his legacy at this point.
I mean, the only way it would be good if he came back is if they did draft like Sanders or Cam Ward, or Carson back. If they did take one of those quarterbacks, I think it would be good for him to sit behind Aaron Rodgers for one more year and to kind of learn and not throw him under the fire, because they still have young pieces. They still have young pieces on offense. They still got young pieces on defense. So it's not like they're running out of time, but they need to develop the next quarterback. So that's Woody Allen, if you're listening like you did last week, reach out to us and we can guide you in the right direction the rest of the year. So
I'm pretty sure they're falling in the same position that they were in last time. And, not to bring up anything political, but last time Trump was in office, the owner was tapped as the UK ambassador, and he ended up passing over duties to the team to his brother. And his brother hired a coach, drafted a quarterback, and that was Zach Wilson and Saleh, and built that team in that direction. And then Trump's term ended. He got, different ambassador got assigned. He came back, took over control. And then now we're sitting here where he got rid of Wilson, he got rid of Saleh, and they're going to start over. And now Trump's in office again. So there's the strong potential that he's going to get offered that job again, and he's going to do the same exact thing, pass the buck over to his brother, have his brother run the team. And then when he comes back, who's to say he's going to be happy with whatever team is built? And can he build a good team? Because he already proved once that he can't. So are you going to give him a chance to do it again? So like as a Jets fan, if I was in that position right now, I'd be so frustrated because I would not have any idea what's going to happen. And that is like not having a direction as a fan. And I know that from 17 years of mediocrity in the Bills organization, it's really frustrating because you just don't see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the Jets should just do the right thing, tank, get a quarterback, and go out there and quit with these, secondary coaches. Bill Belichick wants to coach. Go out there and get him, bring him in, and just move on. Because if you don't bring him in, the Bears are going to bring him in. He's going to be coaching next year somewhere.
Cowboys.
Possibly Cowboys. So just make him the highest paid coach and just get it over with. You got the money. And build from there. So
the Cowboy coaching scenario is really interesting with the Dion factor hanging out there, because Dion and Shador coming out, basically we all kind of know that the plan is going to be wherever Shador gets drafted, Dion wants to coach. Like, I'm sure that's going to be what they're
such a Jerry Jones play, though. I mean,
it is, and that's why it's like
the worst. The worst decision for the Cowboys to do something like that.
But it would be so up their alley, though. It would be so up their alley, man. It really would. So, but to have Belichick out there, like if Belichick wasn't out there, I think it would almost be a slam dunk that that's what's going to try to go down as best as they can if they have to maneuver the draft the way they need to. But with the Bill Belichick aspect out there, that's such an intriguing direction for Jerry to go that it's like it's hard to know which one of the two is more Jerry Jonesy.
Connor, you live in Texas. Why isn't Mike McCarthy fired yet?
Because Jerry Jones has a tendency to hold on to guys that say yes to him.
It's so bad.
He did the same thing with Jason Garrett. I mean, Jason Garrett should have been fired 2 years before he was, and they waited, and it's probably going to be the same thing with McCarthy. They'll probably stay the rest of this year, and then they'll be 2-4 start next year, and then they'll get fired. But, I mean,
it's funny how many times people have proven that putting yes men around you does not lead to success, yet people continue to fucking do it.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me.
If they're saying yes to the right things, it works. But when you're saying yes to Jerry Jones,
you can't always have yes men around you no matter what. No matter what the situation is, you need to have somebody who's going to provide some sort of, pushback from time to time because you're not always right. Nobody is. Last perfect person got crucified. Like that. There's nobody out here is right 100% of the time.
Yeah,
Jimbo in the pod, baby.
Like I said, I mean, Jerry's going to hold on to McCarthy probably another season or two. I think every Cowboys fan I've talked to, I mean, I'm around a lot. My whole family's Cowboys fans. So they've been calling for McCarthy since last year. His game management last year is terrible. And now, I mean, you saw it with this game. I mean, they had, chances, but I don't understand the starting Cooper Rush. I mean, he's not going to win you more games. I would rather start Trey Lance and give him a shot to maybe have a future quarterback. He's younger. He was like the second overall pick a couple years back.
Yeah, I mean, why'd you bring him?
Any reason not to put Trey Lance in?
Yeah, no reason at all. Yeah, you brought him in what? When are you gonna for what
This
situation?
is the only opportunity that you're going to be able to play him and really get an idea without upsetting any apple carts. You might as well
Right.
do it.
Yeah, I mean, Trey Lance came in for one possession, looked better. I mean, Cooper Rush has had 4 fumbles, 2 interceptions the past 2 weeks. I mean, he hasn't looked great. He's not able to get CD the ball. I mean, CD's had 10 targets and caught 50% of them each game. So, I mean,
the other thing too is,
so.
the other thing, not to mean to cut you off, Connor, but the other thing too is they're having such a hard time running the ball. At least if you put Trey Lance in there, he can run.
Exactly.
So I mean, there's another element right there, and they need to do it the right way. Mike McCarthy needs to grow a set of nuts and go out to the media and say, look, Trey Lance is our starter the rest of the year going forward. No ifs, ands, or buts. Get him first team reps all week and go. And none of this back and forth crap, and just see what you have in this guy. Because if he's not the answer, if he's not the future of Dak Prescott, then you just got to move on from that point. And the Cowboys, I mean, they're at the point too where they could get a high draft pick.
Yeah.
I mean, they could, get in that quarterback.
I just don't think Jerry's ready to throw in the towel on the season, even though he totally should. Absolutely 100% should. His dementia is stopping him from being able to physically throw in the towel on a season this early. If he was smart, that's exactly what he would do. He would play all the young players, any of the young people that they think have upside that need to get reps, get them out there right now and just try to build up your core for next season, including Trey Lance. Get him out there, see what you have in the kid. At worst, he's going to show something that, if he's good enough, he'll get some value for you and you can trade him away if you're not going to keep him and try to develop him. But you're not getting anything with the situation the way it is. Nobody cares about Cooper Rush. They've seen enough. They know what he is. Trey Lance is the only thing that you're going to have any kind of a chess piece with if you play him. And everybody else is going to benefit around him because they're all going to get reps. All those guys need the reps, period. That's it. So, get them in there, get Mike in there with some of these young guys and get them used to playing with each other this year. And then let the next coach figure out how to use them correctly because obviously you can't do it.
Yeah, another thing is the way they're using Turpin. I mean, Turpin has been a bright spot on their team this year, in all honesty. And they throw him in there and he makes big plays, and then he's in there for 20% of the offensive snaps. He's a young guy, and he works hard. And I don't understand the way they use him if they're gonna, he's a
Devin Hester type of player if you give him the right opportunity to be that guy, and they're not doing that at all. So it's just another example of Mike McCarthy not doing things that he should be doing with the team. Why do you build a team like that if you're not going to utilize the pieces? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. No, I agree. Quick shout outs. If we haven't done already, I think we had a shout out for Jimbo's Bimbos. What's up, Jimbo? I know it was we were late to the party as far as trying to get you on today, but we can get you on possibly Friday if you want to come on Friday or next Tuesday. Shout out to our producer, Sarah. She's taking some time off for some family matters, so we want to give her a shout out. She's listening to the pod on the way home from work. And so, yeah, we love you guys jumping in. That's awesome. Okay, we're going to move on.
We got to make sure that we mention that Sarah really likes Connor's mustache.
Apparently, I had 3 comments about it on last night's pod, and
I'm telling you, man, the stash has got to stay, bro. Hashtag stash stays.
Cowboy next or next time, Connor, wear a cowboy hat, and you'll fit right in down there, right?
Yeah.
Get cowboy hat. Get your wear the shirt with the what's that tie that you guys wear down there with the stone on it? What's that called?
I don't know.
Bolo tie. It's a bolo tie.
Yeah, wear one of those, and you'll look like a true Texan.
You know what happens too? The moment you put that hat on and you tighten up that tie, all of a sudden your voice starts to get a little bit like this. It's really crazy.
What's up, Alejandro Hernandez? Our El Presidente is in the chat.
Alejandro Hernandez.
Connor, do you own a pair of cowboy boots?
No.
Oh my God.
You will soon. They're in the mail.
All right, let's move on. We are moving on to our elite performers of the week. And we're going to start with the quarterbacks. Coming in number 1, Jared Goff. A monster performance. 412 yards, 4 TDs. He comes in at number 1. Joe
Didn't
Burrow
he
comes
throw
in at
5
number 2.
interceptions last week? Was
Pardon
that
me?
last week that he threw the 5 picks?
Yeah, he went from
This
5
week he
picks
comes back.
to 4 TDs. So it was just an off week for him this week. Joe Burrow comes in with another wasted performance, 356 and 3. Bo Nix, and we're going to circle back to Bo Nix, 307 yards and 4. I got a lot to talk about Bo Nix. A-Rich is off the milk carton. He comes in at number 4. Matt Stafford comes in at number 5. Should have played him. Jameis Winston comes in at number 6. Justin Herbert comes in at number 7. We're going to be talking about him too. I got some things to say about him. Josh Allen, 17, comes in at number 8. Darnold, number 9. Tua comes in at number 10. Jordan Love at 11. And Jalen Hurts rounds it off at number 12. Some guys that were outside that didn't have the best week. We had Jaden Daniels. I think he's still nursing that rib injury. CJ, no 2K, no 5K. Lamar.
CJ Cuss got his guillotine league, Stroud.
Yeah, for sure. Lamar outside. And then Pat Mahomes, even though he threw 3 touchdowns, 196, 15 fantasy points. This isn't what you signed up for when you're taking him as high as number 1, as low as number 3 in Superflex leagues. So you're not getting what you paid for. Excuse me, I'm going to go right up and I'm going to talk about he's back. Sarah's crush. It's Justin Herbert. And I know Sean and I talked about in the off season, if you were in Dynasty, that would have been the best time to acquire Justin Herbert because he's so low. The offense, he's learning the Harbaugh offense. He's looking really good, and I love him going forward the rest of the year. He's going to get this team in the playoffs. So, Sean, arrow up for Justin Herbert?
Oh, absolutely. I've been saying it for a few weeks now, too. I think arrow up for the entire Chargers team in general. They look like they're a team that's on the rise, and the way that Harbaugh's been coaching them up, man, I would not be surprised if they don't challenge for, kind of pushing Kansas City a little bit as far as, being the better team, maybe not the record, but the better team. So I definitely think that they're a team that you want to get in piece that you can right now, especially because they're kind of cheap. So, snag the guys that you can. Like guy like Gus Edwards right now, I think is a really solid handcuff. Justin Herbert is, a real big reason for that. So plus they're running him a little more now too. So I do like that aspect in his game. But yeah, I'm definitely all in on the Herbert train for sure.
Connor, how about the good old Lod McConkey? Is he the number 1 in LA? And then also I want to throw at you, what do you think about Will Dissly going forward?
Yeah, Will Dissly has, put up a couple big games the last 2 weeks. I do think Ladd is their number 1 moving forward. Quentin Johnston has looked good. He's caught a couple touchdowns, way better than I thought he was going to be. He's able to hold on to the ball a little bit better, but I still think Ladd, his separation he was able to get at the end of that game, was very good from a rookie.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%.
Scott, before we move forward here, I want to mention that Alex posted in the comments that he wants to go ahead and turn around and re-roll that entry that he won the other day for 2025 free entry. So I went ahead and set up a giveaway here for everybody that's listening. So if you guys want, go right ahead and type "Go Bills" in the comment section, and you will be entered into a drawing at the end of this podcast for a free entry into our 2025. And I believe it's the big game. Feel free to clarify that for me, Alex, because I want to verify which one it was you won. But yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that drawing here at the end of this podcast, guys. So everybody in the comments, go ahead and just go in there and just type "Go Bills" over and over and over again.
You even got Trevor saying it.
I know. Look at Trevor.
That was a begrudging "Go Bills" too. I can promise you that.
Yeah, I don't even want the free entry. I'll pay mine.
Thank you,
All right.
Jenny. Go Bills.
All right. Yeah, everyone's right in. Go Bills. All right. We'll get in there for that drawing.
Trevor,
I think you're paying people to vote for you. Isn't that how it works?
Hey, it seems like it's worked for others.
Okay, I'm going to get into one more quarterback here before we move on, and I'll go to Connor. But I'm going to talk a little bit about a guy who should be also talked about in the conversation is for Rookie of the Year. Caleb's dropped off a little bit, and so I think he's probably going to be out of that. Neighbors kind of dropped off. Harrison's just not getting enough volume. But I'm going with ex-Oregon great, Bo Nix, who, in my opinion, should be right in the running for Rookie of the Year. And if he can get his team into the playoffs, why can't he get Rookie of the Year over Jaden Daniels? He definitely has the rushing upside. His completion percentage is off the charts. He's winning games. So, Connor, what do you think about Bo Nix?
Yeah, he's looked great. I don't think I put him in that Jaden conversation just yet. He's had a couple of, great games, but I still have Jaden as my Rookie of the Year so far. He's been injured the last couple of games. So, but yeah, Bo Nix has looked great. I'll put him right at number 2. I think Neighbors still with the games he had is probably number 3 in that order. So.
Yeah,
All
do
right.
you think Neighbors is still up there that high after his basically kind of disappeared since that little streak that he had in, early midseason?
I just haven't seen really. I mean, Harrison still hasn't produced the numbers. McConkey hasn't produced the numbers. Odunze has had a couple of great weeks, but
what about Bowers?
I mean, Bowers has looked great, but he also, the beginning of the season, he started off pretty slow. I still think he's, a tight end's never. I don't think a tight end's going to win Rookie of the Year either. So,
no,
I mean, I don't think he'll win Rookie of the Year, but I would say he's above Neighbors in the race at this point.
I don't think so. I still have Neighbors just because of the couple weeks he's had and he's produced. I mean, with Daniel Jones at quarterback, where they benched for
AOC.
Yeah,
but you should know better than me with your stash, the kind of quarterback play that Bowers has had.
The mustache man.
I mean, you're literally like the third stash in the quarterback room.
Yeah, I actually hope that I had an early season prop bet on Rookie of the Year, Jaden Daniels, but I really like Bo Nix a lot. I mean, just the command of the offense, the patience, the quick release. I mean, Sean Payton probably helps a lot too. But I mean, I love watching Bo Nix play. I mean, he's, I was lucky enough to trade up for him in the back of the first round and grab him in a few dynasty leagues, and I got laughed at for doing it. And I said, no, man, this guy, I'm telling you, this guy's going to be pretty good. I didn't think he'd be this good, but I thought he would be pretty good. So going forward, Sean, next year in Superflex redrafts, is Bo Nix? Can we draft Bo Nix in the first? I'd say end of the first round, middle of the second.
No,
because Anthony Richardson. Remember, we were all drafting Anthony Richardson with nothing in the middle of first round. Everyone's drafting Anthony Richardson. So how come you can't tell me you can't draft Bo Nix in that same area? Maybe not in the middle of the first, but maybe first couple spots in the second round.
I don't know, man. There would have to be like a really fat run on quarterbacks. Like, I still don't think I would because the position players available at that point.
Yeah, but my point, what I'm trying to get at is I'm trying to get an answer from one of you two is if we can draft Anthony Richardson at 105 to let's say 110, why can't we draft Bo Nix? Who's put it on the field in the NFL, who's put it on the field in the NFL where Anthony Richardson hardly did anything. Well, it looks like we lost Sean. So Connor, I'll put that on your shoulders.
Yeah, I mean, Anthony Richardson was going high because of his 3, a lot of people thought he had potential to be a Lamar Jackson with a little bit better arm. And he hasn't shown it, but he's shown it in spurts. I mean, he had a 30-point week one, and he had like a 25-point week or 20-point week this week. Bo Nix, I don't think you're going to ever get that consistency running the ball. I think he has the ability, but I think I view Bo Nix more as like your Brock Purdy, like a third round, fourth round start, like draft pick in a super flex for redraft. I think next year's probably will end up right around Brock Purdy, where Brock Purdy was this year.
Got you. Sean, yeah. So Sean or Connor said he's more of excuse me, like Brock Purdy, the Brock Purdy range.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Absolutely. And the reason that I think Anthony Richardson was picked at where he was earlier is because of his rushing upside opportunities. So I don't see that from Bo Nix, really. I know he's been running the ball, but I don't see the same type of rushing opportunities that you would get from Anthony Richardson. So the upside aspect isn't there. I think Brock Purdy, Tua Tagovailoa, like that's kind of the area that I see him being in. So I would not be in the first round or early second.
Okay. All right. We will see.
I had a bug man that showed up and he needed me to lock the doggy door.
Oh.
Life got in the way.
Okay. All right. We'll move on to running backs. Coming in at number 1, Joe Mixon, another monster performance, 3 TDs, 109. I mean, this guy's just been amazing for the Texans. I mean, he loves being there. If you remember Joe Mixon earlier in his career with Cincinnati, always getting in trouble, terrible with the media. And, now he's, in between, while the game's going on, he's going and saying hi to fans, giving autographs. Just seemed like he just turned his career around once he got out of Cincinnati, which I don't blame him. Cincinnati's a disaster of an organization. So he got out of there and went to a better one. Saquon comes in at number 2. Breece Hall comes in at number 3. David Montgomery at 4. Josh Jacobs at 5. Devin Achan comes in at 6. James Cook heating up, coming in at number 7. Chase Brown. Got to love Chase Brown coming in at number 8. Jahmyr Gibbs comes in at 9. So you got two Lions in the top 9. J.K. Dobbins at 10. Javonte Williams, he's back on the map, coming in at 11. And then Austin Eckler comes in at 12. Some guys that had a down week. Derrick Henry, I think that was a product of the defense. Same with Bijan Robinson, product of the defense. At Pittsburgh for Henry and at Denver for Bijan. So you knew it was going to be a bad day when Derrick Henry fumbled the ball. I mean, I don't think he's fumbled the ball, and I think Connor said it. How many snaps, Connor?
It was like 500 carries, or something like that. So over 500.
Yeah, so he was not very happy. He threw his helmet and just was not very happy. So I'll go to Sean. I mean, Joe Mixon. What do you do with this guy in Dynasty? Because he is
Joe
old,
Mixon?
28. He's riding he's having a monster career year. What do you do with this guy at the end of the year?
Well, it depends on the value that you could get for him. I mean, I would definitely be looking to move him depending on where my team's sitting. If I'm in a rebuild mode, I'm moving him for sure. I want to make sure I can get some pieces that are younger to try to move forward in the future. I think he'll be solid next year. I just don't know if I want him on a team that is not championship caliber already. So I would look at it that way. But if I'm like sitting on a team that's like, falling around like that mid-range, or just outside the playoffs and just needs a couple more pieces, I would look to maybe move somebody else like, I don't know, Cooper Kupp, for example, who's got a little bit more of a floor coming a little quicker per se. And that I don't think maybe has the kind of year next year. So that's kind of where I would be at with Mixon. I do like him a lot. I just think that at that 28 range, I mean, you got another year and a half before he hits that 30 mark. I think mid-season next year, or would be not next season, following mid 26 is when he would turn 30, right? So, 2025 I think will be good. 2026 I'd be concerned about.
Okay, Connor, if you're contending, let's say you lose Saquon for the year, and someone offers you Mixon, what are you willing to give up for him? And you're contending.
I mean, if you're contending a first, I would probably give up pretty quickly if you still have it. Most teams, if you're contending this late, you probably don't have your first anymore. You shouldn't have your first anymore. I mean, I'm trying to probably give up a guy like a Romeo Dobbs in a second or something like that. Like a young receiver that rebuilders might want, plus a little bit like a pickup grade as well. So,
Do you think Romeo Dobbs would be able to get the deal done? I don't know if that would make it happen. Really, I don't think I would give him up to Romeo Dobbs in a second.
I mean, if for a team that's not contending, I would think a guy like Romeo Dobbs in a second would likely get it done. Just depends on where they're at standings wise.
I would think a guy like Xavier Legette maybe would be a better like aspect. I don't know if I would personally take Dobbs because I just don't see enough of a ceiling with Dobbs. He's not, even though he's out there all the time, he's not as big of a part of that offense. They don't really call plays for Dobbs as often. He's always.
Yeah, I wasn't specifically saying just go out there and give him Dobbs. I was saying a Dobbs-like player. So yeah, Legette, a young receiver, anybody that Ricky Pearsall, guys that are young that have some upside, some are in passing offensive like those guys. I would do it.
You think you can get a first and a second for him?
I mean, could you possibly? Depends on your league. I mean, I've seen worse deals than that, so I assume probably somebody can, but I wouldn't be expecting to get that in return.
Sean, I know you're a running back guy, so next year, this is so hard because Gibbs is so good, but Montgomery's gonna be there. He's always gonna be there. So next year, where do you feel comfortable drafting Jahmyr Gibbs?
That's a tough call too, because like you said, I do think that Montgomery and him are going to be a tandem for a couple of years at least. So
same spot you took him this year, late second.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, exactly. I don't think he's really moved, up or down. Like where he was at the end of the draft season, I think is where he's going to be for me.
Weren't people drafting him at like the end of the first? I mean, I don't draft
early on. They were.
And Superflex, I don't ever remember seeing him in the first round. He was always after Brees. He was always after Bijan, and he was always after McCaffrey. He was most of the time the fourth or fifth running back taken. So I don't ever remember seeing him in the first. I think I saw him maybe at like the 201, 202 at the earliest, if I can remember correctly. I mean, it's been a long time, but I don't ever remember seeing him in a super flex being taken in the first.
I feel like I do remember him going early in the draft season. And then I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Scott, you would know because you're a Lions guy, but didn't they sign Montgomery like mid fantasy draft season to an extension? And prior to that signing, a lot of people thought that Gibbs only had one more share year with Montgomery and he was going to take most of the workload this year, and then Monty was going to be gone after this year. And so people
that was early on, like after the draft, after everything, the dust settled down, Montgomery got his extension. Then everybody that follows the Lions here knew that Gibbs would never get anything more than possibly 60% of the workload. So it was going to be a 50-50, 60-40 timeshare for the next couple of years. And I mean, Dan Campbell loves David Montgomery. I mean, that was their first big signing. A couple of years ago was they brought him in, stabilized the running game. And I just think it's a good 1-2 punch. It keeps Jahmyr fresh. Plus, you got to realize too, if you own Jahmyr Gibbs in Dynasty, you kind of want this because all it's going to do is just extend Gibbs' career. He's not going to get the pounding on him that he's going to get as like a true 3-down back. So if you're in Dynasty, you like this, and redraft, probably not. So I was just curious. Like, I'm not a running back drafting guy, but I just want to get your take on where.
And I would honestly go on a limb and say that I don't think the Lions would have gone to a full-on workhorse style with Jahmyr Gibbs, even if they didn't re-sign David Montgomery. I would not be shocked at all if they don't bring in another player like in the draft following year, or sign another veteran type of kind of ground and pound style back, and always want to have that 2-back scenario, whether it's David or not. So
Right.
no matter what happens with Gibbs, I'd be shocked if he gets to that point where he's just that workhorse style. I don't see them having that projections for him in their, offense unless they get a new coordinator because their guy gets, poached.
Yeah,
So
he's
I just looked at the three of the first lead that we did best ball Superflex. He was drafted at the 210, and then the mini leads that we drafted, like basically right after the Super Bowl, with 10 teams. The earliest he was drafted was the 201, and then it was basically he was drafted 301, 201, and then the 210. So I don't think he ever ended up in the first round in any of the drafts I did. Not saying
I'd be interested to see that specific time frame between when he was drafted and then when David Montgomery got his extension.
yeah.
You know what
Well,
I'm
he,
saying?
he just
That's
well, he
what
just
I really want to see.
yeah, he just looked it up. Like I said, I mean, he said the early mini leagues
Yeah.
where we drafted
But
right
those
away.
were prior to the draft, right? That was before.
Yeah,
that was prior. I think even that one, all three of those, I believe, were prior to the draft. I don't know when the first best ball we did was drafted, and that's the first one that we did was League One, Balls of Stark or something like that.
I'm sure there's probably a website that has like all the average draft positions for like the time, the months, and everything like that broken down somewhere we could find too. Just for like a general overview.
So this was April 27th. So that's after the draft, right?
Yeah, I believe the draft was that week, like day or two before to that.
Let me just look that up. NFL draft day.
Because I know it's that week. It's usually that last week in April or whatever that weekend is. So whatever date that weekend fall on.
Yeah, it was the last day of the draft.
Okay.
Was April 27th. So that was basically right as the draft ended was when that week
and where
started.
was he taken in that one? What position
This
did he
one
go
he
at?
was the 301 or the 210. This one was the 210.
And is that the 10-man league or 12-man? Was that one of the best balls?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So he was basically so it would have been like a 208 in the in like a 12-man league.
Yeah.
Trevor. I don't know if anyone. I know Connor's not old enough. Sean might be old enough. Remember Chips?
Oh God, yeah, of course. Are you kidding me? I got a picture with him, dude.
They remade it. Don't worry.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, it's funny too. Actually, if you haven't seen the movie, the Chips remake, it's great.
I have to check it out.
Yeah,
all
it's funny.
We spent too long on running backs. All right, we'll go to receivers. Coming at number 1, Amon St. Brown comes in at number 1. T. Higgins comes in at number 2. Welcome back. Cooper Kupp, our golden boy, comes in at number 3. Jamar Chase, pay the man, comes in at 4. We have a Jerry Jeudy sighting.
That's 2 Bengals in the top 4, by the way.
Yes, 2 Bengals in the top 4. Way to point that out there, Sean. Jerry Jeudy comes in at 5. We have Zubikis's crush, Puka, coming in at 6. Juwan Jennings, we're gonna be talking about Juwan Jennings in a minute. He comes in at number 7. J-Mo comes in at 8. So we have 2 Lions in the top 8. JSN comes in at 9. Nick Westbrook Akina comes in at 10. Josh Downs, who's the number 1 in Indy, comes in at 11. And Tyreek the Freak comes in at number 12. Some guys outside, underperforming players. We got CD, George Pickens, and that looks like really about it on that point. So I'm going to go and talk a little bit about Juwan Jennings. So Ayuk's out for the year. Ayuk's going to probably not be 100% coming back next year. He's a guy that's going to be off my radar because I don't invest in guys coming off ACLs the following year. So I'm going to go to Connor first. Next year, where are we drafting Juwan Jennings, Connor? Is he going to be like a 6th, 7th round, like a WR2? Because if this guy keeps going like the way he's going, he's showing the Niners the production that Ayuk should have been doing, and he's doing it.
Yes, I would say probably around that range, maybe 6th, 7th, 8th round. and best ball probably. I don't know with how Ayuk coming back is going to affect that. Debo coming back. I'm not sure what Pearsall, up and coming. I don't want to plant any flags, but I would say that's probably about the range he goes. But I wouldn't be surprised if he goes way later than that also. Like even slipping down to the 14th round or so.
I mean, Sean, all this guy does is produce when he's on the field, and I just don't get it. I mean, the Niners made such a bad move by signing Ayuk. They should have just let him go. This guy proved that he could fill that role, and now not only did you dump all that money on Ayuk, but then you lose him for the year. He's not going to be 100% coming back at the early part of next year, coming off the ACL. So, do you agree with Connor somewhere like in that 8th, 9th range? WR2, would you feel comfortable?
For Jennings, no way. I would. So I think Jennings will be one of those guys that he'll be drafted before I'll take him. So I'll end up with almost no shares of him next year because I just, like Connor just explained, there's too many fish in that sea right now to go at it. I don't, Jennings, he's showing us that he likes something, but he obviously hasn't shown the coaching staff enough because they signed Ayuk to that big contract, made that whole stink about keeping a disgruntled player in town, and then went around and still drafted Ricky Pearsall, knowing that they were going to make that move to sign Ayuk. So, the fact that they did all that tells me that they don't believe that Juwan Jennings is more than just that, 4th receiver on their roster. So I don't see them moving him up the roster because they got too much invested in that position elsewhere, especially with Debo still in town. So, that to me just signals I honestly think that Juwan Jennings' best case scenario would be for him to get traded somewhere else this offseason and have a chance to be in an offense where he's got more of a consistent role.
We'll take him. The Lions will take him. He'd be a great fit.
For the Lions, he'd be in the same boat. You got Amon-Ra. Like, I guess he would be their 3rd guy, but they still have Sam LaPorta as a big part of that offense.
Yeah.
He would be like the 6th or 7th option in that Lions offense. I mean, he'd be behind, at least 2 receivers, LaPorta, Montgomery, and Gibbs. I mean,
I'd put him somewhere like Pittsburgh, with where they wanted Ayuk, with him on the other side from Pickens. I think that would be good for them, something like that, or maybe even like Tennessee and have him, go alongside Dallas, another good spot. Those are places I think he would be a lot more, sought after, in my opinion, fantasy wise.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. I think he's cheap. I think they re-signed him to an extension. And
I think he likes it there. I think he likes playing on that team. I think they give him all the credit that he wants, and he likes in the environment. We don't take into account a lot of times that the player moves. They live in this city. They don't want to go bouncing around all the time. Nobody wants to travel for work and stuff. So there's a lot behind that too. He might be really happy in San Fran.
And he's cheap. Like they're not paying him a ton of money. He's producing as a top guy, and he's cheap. So I don't see them moving. I don't see them moving him,
especially not after Ayuk's injury and where they would be without him if they didn't have him now.
Yeah, and I did miss that there were 2 Rams in the top 6. Thank you for pointing that out, Zubakis. I know I had to mention your crush in the top 6, so had to mention that. Just one more before we move on. So, Josh Downs. He's out producing Pittman. Pittman doesn't look hurt anymore. It just seems like whether it's Richardson or Flacco, just seems like they're locking in on Josh Downs, and he looks like a really, really good receiver. He's not an X, but he can do. Kind of reminds me a little bit of, and I'm not comparing him to Antonio Brown, but he's kind of like that kind of receiver, like over the middle, making good, tough catches, a lot of run after the catch, do a lot with them. So I'll go to Sean first. Do you like Josh Downs more than Michael Pittman, maybe going into next year?
Unfortunately, yes. I hate saying it because I did like Pittman a lot this year coming into the season, and I'm disappointed in what's happened. But you can't have faith that Pittman's even somebody they want to be a major part of that offense. calling plays for Josh Downs. Obviously, they want Josh Downs getting the ball, so they don't seem to care whether Pittman gets the ball or not. So to me, that's a good sign for him. And unless he ends up somewhere else, I'm not sure what his contract situation is, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's not close to a contract year, if not on a contract year. So I think, and he's another player that I feel like would be better fantasy wise if he got moved to a different team in the offseason. But
Yeah, yeah, Connor, it's going to be tough for Indy because Sean might be right. He might be done with his rookie contract and it could be coming up. They just paid Taylor. They just gave Pittman a crap load of money. They may have to move on from him, but do you like Downs over Pittman going forward next year?
I think this is only Downs' second year, so he has at least one more.
He's got one more year left.
I think he has at least one more. I would say.
Wasn't he a first round pick too? Wasn't he a late first round pick and not an early second, so he gets that fifth year option?
I don't know if he was a first round. Was he?
I think well, he might have been. He might have been a second because
he was a third. He was a third.
Oh wow, he's a third. So I think that's still a 4-year deal though for third round picks, if I'm not mistaken. I think they get 4-year deals.
Yeah, fourth. Yeah.
So that means that next year is his last contract year. This is his third season, isn't it?
This is he was drafted in 23, so this is only his second year. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, it is. Okay. So yeah, so he still has 2 more years on contract with them.
Yeah. So yeah, I think, but I would have him ahead of. I think we talked about it a little bit last night, Sean. But I think I would have him ahead of Pittman moving forward this year, for sure, and into next year. He looks better than Pittman. Pittman had a stint last year where he was a star, but he really hasn't produced much this season, even when Downs was injured, I think. So,
which is frustrating because I don't think it's on Pittman that he hasn't been productive. I think Pittman is still the same player he was, and he still is capable of being a productive player in this league. They're just not utilizing him. I don't know what happened, if there's some sort of a behind the scenes, issue or whatnot, but they don't seem to really care to make Pittman a part of that offense.
Well, he did have the back injury for a while, and then basically Downs, because in the beginning of the year, so Downs finished really strong at the end of last year, and then he was hurt at the beginning of this year. And then, once Pittman got the back injury, they just schemed, I think it was like what you said, Sean, they just schemed for him more. They wanted the ball in his hands more. They felt he could do more after the catch. So, I'm
definitely more explosive of the two, for sure. That's evident.
Definitely going to start. I'm going to start. Definitely going to. Hopefully, he doesn't finish super strong because I'd like to try to hunt him down in Dynasty a little bit and see if anybody is sleeping on him. See if you can try to acquire him. But
with AR as quarterback, that might happen.
Yeah, exactly. What's up, C. Sims? C. Sims is in there. He says, "Go Bills." I don't know. That looks like a sarcastic emoji. So, welcome on in, C. Sims. Okay, we'll go to tight end. And we will go to the dual designation player in Taysom Hill. Monster day, 41 points. Does everything. He's in your lineup. Congratulations.
Saved my butt in the lineup, too. I stuck him in Sunday morning, last second over Tucker Kraft. Saved my butt.
Really? Wow. The Brockness Monster comes in at number 2. Monster year for him. Love Brock Bowers.
Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, Johnny Smith comes in at number 3. The Dolphins never used the tight ends, and this year they're using them. So, had him in DFS. Awesome. Carried me to all my cash game lineups. So thank you, Janu. David Njoku comes in at 4. Zach Ertz comes in at number 5. Pretty. He seems like he's always in that top 12 every week.
I like how you always say his name with a little bit of a extra pizzazz.
Oh yeah, because I got laughed at in the beginning of the season because I had him ranked as my 15th tight end, and everyone laughed at me. So I'm like, okay. Noah Gray comes in at number 6. We talked about Will Dissly at number 7 going forward. Hunter Henry at 8. Juwan Jennings at 9. So we got 2 Saint tight ends in the top 9. Luke Schumacher comes in at number 10. So we're going to have to wait and see on the Ferguson concussion. Usually them guys are out at least 1 week. Dallas Goedert comes in at 11. And we have an Isaiah Likely sighting coming in at number 12. let's see. I'm looking for a particular tight end, but I don't really see him. Oh, wait a second. He's down here. Yeah, coming in at number 4 is no, that's not TJ Hawkinson. That's Josh Oliver coming in at 24. So I don't see somebody named TJ Hawkinson in the top 25.
But you know where you did see him, Scott? In the starting
On a
roster.
Martin?
In the
On what?
starting roster. That's the only thing that matters is he was actually I shouldn't even say starting. He was on the roster, the game day roster. So that's all that matters.
I should you know what? I should have made that bet with him about who would finish higher, him or Ertz. I'd be winning that bet right now.
That
So
would make it for the other
Still a
pubs.
lot of season left. Still a lot of season left.
a lot of season, and he basically got a donut this week. So it was like he didn't even play. So, okay. So we'll talk about a few tight ends. We'll go to Connor's time. Are we trusting Jonnu Smith the rest of the way as a tight end 1, Connor?
Tight end 1.
I mean, tight end's pretty
it's pretty slim pickings out there for tight ends. I mean, like a top 12 play? Yeah, I think I would say he's a top 12
yeah,
play.
like a top 12 play. Like, I'm not talking like number 1 overall or anything, but I mean,
Yeah.
12-team league. He had six receptions. Let's see how many targets he had.
Yeah, Tua's played, well with him. Since he's got back, he was even playing well with the other 2 quarterbacks they played. So yeah, I would say he's a top 12, top 10 play. He might even be a top 7 play. I mean, you got Kittle, Bowers.
Matchup. Yeah, absolutely.
Kittle or Bowers have been the only 2 consistent ones every week. Kelsey hasn't really produced consistently. He's had a couple of good games. Laporta definitely hasn't produced consistently. Njoku
McBride up there, I guess. McBride's been pretty okay for the most part.
Yeah, he had a couple injuries, I guess, and that's kept him down a little bit. But yeah, Njoku, I would say probably is above him. McBride's above him. So I mean, there's maybe only 6 or 7 names that you can maybe come up with that I would play above Jonnu right now. So yeah, he's definitely a tight end 1 moving forward.
Gotcha. Yeah, and we talked about Will Dissly. I mean, they're scheming plays for him. Like Will Dissly a lot. Picked him up in quite a few redraft leagues this week. I was surprised he was sitting on the waiver wire for this late in the season.
I think most people thought it would be Hayden Hurst instead of Will Dissly. So I think a lot of people had Hayden Hurst, especially me. I had Hayden Hurst rostered in a lot of leads because I thought, they really didn't have wide receiver targets, and they don't. And I was right that the Chargers tight end would get targets. I was just wrong on which one it would actually be.
I did the same thing. I was all over him and Jonnu Smith and guys like that because they were all going right in that, like, if you fade tight end scenario, you could snag them late in drafts as like a good solid backup potential. And then they turn into your tight end 1, basically.
Yep.
Right. All right. Well, I guess I'll have to get a hold of Ken and find out where TJ Hawkinson is, because I don't see him on anywhere. Maybe he spent the night at his house or hanging out with him for the week, because he definitely wasn't on the leaderboard. Okay, we're gonna move on.
You sound a little salty about your bet there, Scott. Not letting it go.
Hey, I gotta put a little bit of salt in the wounds. I mean, I'm gonna probably lose that bet, but it's just unfortunate. But still got some games left, so there's always that potential. Him catching a pass across the middle and somebody goes to his knees and he's out, or he gets another concussion.
That's horrible to wish on somebody, Scott. Wow, for $7 or $10.
$10. Hey, that's a very, very important pub sub.
Wow.
You literally just lost your pub sub. That comment right there. It's the football gods are gonna take your pub sub and shove it down your throat now, dude.
We will see. We will see. All right, let's move over to the redraft leagues. We have the low, we have the mid, and we have the high. Did he redo those? Oh, I got to refresh.
It looks like the low stakes are up to date.
Yeah, they should all be up to date. I got to refresh my screen. I think he just did them.
Hey
All right,
Jimbo, clarify what you're asking here on the Washington and Pittsburgh tight end comment. It looks like you got a couple question marks there. So are you asking about like a potential play the tight end of Pittsburgh, or what are you asking there so that we can give you a good answer?
Yeah, I don't know if he's talking about Darnell Washington.
Oh no, he's talking about Washington. So yeah, that's weird because it seems like they always run this one play. It's a weird looking play. It always goes to Washington. So yeah, it just
you're talking about in Pittsburgh. They always run this
weird play, and when the ball goes to him, I'm like, I've seen that play before. They always run this one play to him all the time, and it works. He always gets like 12 yards or something. It's like a weird play, but yeah, he was supposed to be an offensive lineman, and I don't think he might have either converted to a tight end in the NFL or he might have did it in.
No, he was a tight end coming out. Remember, he had that like crazy catch in the combine and shit.
Crazy athletic in the combine.
Yeah.
Wasn't he? Did he convert in college from offensive to tight end?
I don't know, but I just remember him posting crazy athletic, stats as a tight end at the combine, and so everybody was excited about him.
Got you.
Yeah. He made this ridiculous catch in one of the passing drills that like blew everybody away, and then he had like the high jump and broad jump, and all those numbers were crazy.
All right. Okay. Sean, do you have low stakes up?
Yes, sir.
All right, Connor, do you want to go through low stakes, and then we'll let Sean do mids, and I'll do high.
Yeah, I got you.
Can you read it okay, Connor?
What's up?
Can you see it okay?
Yeah. So we got TB76 here in first place. Has the most points for as well. You got the Team TC show in second. K Doggy Dog in third. E Bailey, and then our friend JoJo here in fifth place, right on the cusp of playoffs. This seems to be a pretty washed lead as in terms of points for. You usually don't see that. Everybody, points for is usually either down the block a little bit. So pretty wash on the points for.
They all have the same record too at 7-4, all the playoff teams.
Yeah, and then JoJo's only one game out too, so it's gonna be a pretty tight race. Here in low 2 beta, you got just numbers here in first place with a nice points for, and he's also 8-3. TB again here in second place at 7-4. You got 2 more 7-4 teams. K Doggy Dog again, and then Blind Badgers here in fourth, and then Team Cheeky here in fifth on the cusp. It looked like Blind Badgers had a nice little schedule there because his points for is pretty low there, almost 120 points less than Cheeky. So
yeah, it'd be interesting to see if any of these guys end up playing each other, because we're on the last couple weeks here before we get to that playoff point. So if they got any matchups with each other, that'd be really interesting to see how they play out.
Yeah, 1,400 points. Jeez.
Yeah. Here we go in low 3 gamma. We got Team Billy B, 9-2, TB 9-2 as well. A big difference in points for. You got Lynn here in third at 8-3. Honcho Jack 41 here in fourth, and then Tectolite here in fifth at 6-5. 1 game back of the 4th seed. Nobody's clinched playoffs yet. It doesn't look like.
Bless you.
That was a sneeze.
Yeah, bless you. Here in low 4 Delta, we got Taryn Capel with a really high score, really high points for 1878 and 9-2. Dadbot 86 at 8-3. The TC show again at 7-4. El Super Biesto here in fourth at 7-4, and then them is Papa V here in fifth at 6-5, a game back. Has the points for on El Super Biesto in fourth, so he just needs 1 game. Nobody else is. It doesn't look like anybody's locked in playoffs in this league yet either. So
Wow, the 1878, man, that's a monster.
Yeah, that's a huge score there. Low 5, ellipsone. How y'all say that?
Epsilon.
Epsilon. Okay. Epsilon. There we go. And first you got Team Jimmy Wojo. Team 2, you got Stu 6923. And third, you got Chi Bears 45.
Shy Bears.
No, it's Chi Bears.
Shy Bears, like Chicago.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying it's Chi Bears. But Team 4, in fourth place, Your Worship, and then Mike Conroy in fifth. Pretty wash again. Points for everybody's pretty high. We're all about the same. Wojo has a little lead there on Chi Bears, and so, but everybody's in the hunt still. No playoff teams locked in just yet. Team Mike Conroy just needs another game on Your Worship, and he'll be in that spot.
I think Wojo's locked in his playoff position.
I don't think so. If they had locked in their playoff position, they usually have a little star over their seed.
Yeah, they'll
Oh yeah, good call. You're right. Yeah, I guess he has to get, if he loses them all, and then he gets a little bit of help, or they get a little bit of help.
Yeah, so, based on points for, he probably has it locked in, but they don't. He doesn't actually have it locked in based on records, so they don't have the little star on
the love yet.
Yeah.
So Jerry says in chat, do you all know who I am on Sleeper? Who is Jerry Bagshaw on Sleeper? You guys know?
Isn't it Jerry something? His Jerry something on Sleeper. I don't know his exact. Let me look.
Jerry B? Is it Jerry B on
Jerry
Sleeper?
B, yeah, I think so. Something like that.
Yeah, I know we've done this before. I'm just trying to remember.
Jerry B 83. I'm assuming that's who it is. Yeah, Jerry B 83 is who it is.
Yeah,
it is.
Here in low 6 Zeta, this is a league I'm in. Not doing too hot, but team was that Gaio 55, Geo 55. Here in first at 8-3. Them is Papa V in second. C Sims 52 in third. Jason in fourth, and then Sarah in fifth. And then they all have, like I said, pretty close record. Nobody even has a really high point score in this one either. All pretty close there in that lead. Low 7, Kappa. No, that's Kappa. Jason's in first at 8-3. C Sims again here in second. The TC Show, JoJo here in fourth, and then TB, even with a losing records, here in fifth, but has a nice little points for. It looks like he's second. In points for here. Just had a bad little. He's really had a really tough schedule. He has almost 200 points or 130 points on the next person against points for. So a little hard schedule, but has a decent chance of making playoffs. He's only a game back. So low 8 here, Omnicron. JoJo looks like he's locked up the 1 seed, or at least locked up his playoff position. Nice little point score at 843. TB here's again in second at 8-3. Luis at third at 6-5. KJ Dog at 6-5, and then E Bailey at 6-5. All pretty close. E Bailey is lacking in the points for, so he's down there in the block in the 5th seed, but JoJo looks like he's made him a nice team. He even has the most points for out of these 5, and is still in first place at 10-1. So
look at JoJo. So JoJo started off 0-1. He's ripped off 10 straight wins.
Yeah. And look at his points for. It's like close to 300 points over the next closest guy.
He's killing everybody in that league.
Yeah, he's destroying that league.
Low 9, another league I'm in.
We can skip this one.
Another league I'm in, not doing too hot in these redrafts. You got Ludes for sale, Mad Dog, Hoka. What's that mean?
Hoik. Mad Dog Hoik.
What's that mean?
Ren and Stimpy.
Okay.
You know who Ren Stimpy is?
I do not. That's way before my time.
Wow. Okay, Connor, we're gonna kick you out of the pod now.
You got JoJo here in second at 7-4. Fins at 7-4. Hashtag Prez at 7-4, and Go Titans at 7-4. So it doesn't look like Ludes is quite locked up his playoff spot. He's not even first in points for. It looks like JoJo is. So he still needs to win at least one more. Have one of these guys lose.
Well, it's obvious who the best team is in this league because he's sitting at 7-4 and has almost 200 points more against him than the other two guys that are above him. So we know that the good team in this is Fins 0913.
Yeah, I think Fins is probably the best team here. Let's be honest.
The best team is the one that's wearing that gold crown on his head. See how Charles Woodson has that crown on his head?
Isn't that Fins too? Doesn't he have a little gold crown on him?
It looks like just a blank. I don't know what you know what that is.
I think it's actually bronze, but
yeah, I know.
I love it.
And the last league we'll go over, it looks like we have a couple teams here that's locked in their playoff spot. Low 10 Omega, a nice score from Mr. Flood Cute at 1821, and then Carson Pev locked in his spot at 9-2 as well. Doesn't have quite the high score, but Big Timer Z420 has a nice little points for, but is unfortunately only 8-3. And then Dad Bod again at 6-5, and Chiefs Life at 5-6. But Dad Bod has only 1,300 points for. So he has to win out basically to probably make playoffs over Chiefs, who has 370 points for above him. So Chiefs just needs to win one game and Dad Bod to lose one game, and he'll be in that spot. But
yeah, that's crazy.
All right, that's our low stakes.
All right, good job, Connor. That's low stakes. That was a $25 buy-in. So good job, Connor, going through that, being very detailed. And we are going to go to mid stakes, which is a $50 buy-in, and Sklem will run this down.
One comment: somebody needs to read their messages. They got 99 plus up in there. Whoever screenshotting these, how about y'all read?
I promise you, these are the manager accounts that Alex runs. So all of those are notifications from the mentions. I guarantee it.
Wow.
So why are you picking on El Presidente? The man is busy enough. He does enough for us. All right.
Hey, every time I log in, I always read the messages on the thing. So yeah, sure it is, Zubicus. You got people blowing you up. You're just leaving on red.
See, no, he's right. It is the manager account. See, and you know how we know this? Because Alex actually responds to trades. So if you have 99 plus sitting in your DMs, you're never going to know when you get a new trade offer.
That's all Zubicus's trade notification responses when he's trying to get Puka from all these teams, and people are just saying, "No, I'm not giving you Puka for that."
Oh, that's great. All right, let's get to the nitty gritty of the mid stakes leagues, huh? We got the Raiden League we'll start with, and at the top spot is Rookie 86 holding down the spot at 9-2. Right behind him is Afman 9, the dude at 7-4, followed by Short Stack 11 at 7-4. And Mid 1, who basically blanks 87, who used his team name to organize his leagues, is at 6-5. And JoJo is trying to chase him down at 6-5 in the 5 spot, behind by just over 100 points for. It's a pretty close-knit race as far as those guys are concerned. Our guy in the top spot kind of pulled ahead with not only points for, but score as well. I would be surprised if he doesn't lock his playoff spot in next week. But that's a pretty solid league there. Mid number 2, Smoke. We got the top spot being held by one of our regular boys, K Doggity Dog, 8-3, sitting there with a 1640 points for, which is not quite the top spot, but it is second, so it's up there. Grizz Tony is right behind him at 8-3 with the same record, about just under 100 points behind him. The Justin Brown 88 is behind them in the third spot at 7-4, followed by Mike's the Guy at 6-5, and T Zillin 18 at 6-5, trying to chase him down, sitting about 120 so points behind Mike's the Guy for the fourth spot. So that league overall, it's a little diverse from top to bottom, but it's close. A couple are close to the top and a couple are close to the bottom. So it'll be a fun one to watch. The mid 3 Sub-Zero League, we've got the Prosciutto Legends 2, Phil 3988, sitting in the top spot at 9-2 with an 1865 score, nearly 200 points over 200 points above the next closest guy. So he is killing it on the points for. But Mike's the guy is right there with him for record at 9-2. So all he needs to do is get one more win and he can take that top spot, even though he is over 230 points behind him. At JoJo is at 7-4 in the third spot, tied with Short Stack at 7-4 in the fourth spot. They have a difference of only about 40 points between them for that third spot. So that's a little bit of a competitive race there between those two guys. Chief's Life is not quite out of it yet, but he is barely hanging on by a thread at this point at 5 and 6 in the fifth spot. So we're gonna have some answers here coming up. Looks like Mike and Prosciutto Legends have already locked in their playoff spot. Now they're just fighting for pride in first place. Next league we got is Scott's favorite league, the Knobslava. Sitting at the top of this league is Cash 3, one of our players who's in multiple leagues, and he has a nice points for lead over everybody at 1773. Next closest guy is 150 points behind him, so he's got a nice little cushion there. But he does not have a cushion when it comes to record, because behind him in second and third at 8-3 is Julius Pulius with 1553 in points. And Mr. Ben doing this at 1533, only 20 points between those two. And one game will make a difference between first and third. So there's a nice little battle there going. On top of that, they are only one game out from fourth and fifth. Finch GDX and Chiefs Life 13 are both sitting there at 7-4, just behind them. So this league is far from over, ladies and gentlemen. So we will keep an eye on that one, huh? Mid 5 is Blue K. At number 1 spot in Blue K is Ducking Roosters, Mr. Ben doing this. Another name you're going to hear a lot in these leagues. Sitting at the top spot with 1779. The interesting thing I see here that stands out to me right away is all three of the top teams, Mr. Ben doing this, Cheeky Hobson in second, and Pablo Escobar in third, are tied at 8-3 and only have 50 points between the three of them on points for. So that is a very, very close race for podium's positioning between those three. Right behind him is Mike's the guy at 7-4, so all it takes is one more win and a couple of losses for him to jump into that game. But he is pretty far behind on the points for game, so I don't know if he'll be able to do anything other than take the third spot from somebody. Cash 3 is behind them in 6-5, so between him and Mike's the guy, he might be able to sneak his way in there, which would be pretty frustrating if he can't, be in that he has over 330 points for than Mike's the guy has. So that is a pretty frustrating position to be in, but we've all been there, right? We'll keep an eye on Liu Kang, though, too. That's definitely going to be interesting. Mid 6, Kung Lao. We've got Eddie Money 18 at 10-1, holding down the top spot with a very interesting points for of only 1580 with a 10-1 record. So, man, you really have been getting the matchup love. Right behind him is Sorry for Cussing at 7-4 with a whopping 1635 as points for. So, that's a pretty surprising change there, as well as the fact that he has almost 150 more points or 175 more points against him than Eddie Money does. So that just goes to show you what's going to happen if you get points against you as opposed to for you. Adrenaline Mob, Maj 1231 is sitting behind them at 7-4, along with Charles Neal 42 and Mr. Ben doing this. All four, from second to fifth are tied at 7-4. The difference is about 130 points between the four of them on points for. So that those four positions could be moving around quite a bit. And I think no matter what, as long as Eddie Money locks down a win, he should get his playoff spot secured. Mid 7, we've got Reptile and K Doggity Dog, another name at the top spot again, 8-3, holding it down with a 1597 points for. The most interesting thing stands out like a sore thumb is right behind him at 7-4 is Pablo Escobar with a whopping 17 points for, still a game out of first place. Close, 210 points more than the guy who's a game ahead of him in the rankings. And the other interesting factor about that is you'd anticipate he'd have a lot more points against him, but he literally has less than 30 points against him more than the guy in first. So it's just a really weird scenario that he's been running into to not be able to hold down the top spot with such a high points for. Chadwick 0304 is tied with him at 7-4 in the third spot, followed by two guys tied at 6-5, Cash 3 and Mr. Ben doing this, two guys that love to duke it out, sitting right behind him with only a 60-point difference between the two. So 70-point, I'm sorry. So there's going to be a battle going on there, as there is in a lot of our leagues. Mid-8 Scorpion, we've got Grizz Tony holding down the top spot at 7-4. All four teams that are in the playoffs currently have the same record at 7-4. You have Grizz Tony in 1, JoJo in 2, Ludes for Sale, our host here in 3, and Bachulok in 4th. Scott is sitting, Bachelok is sitting at 1579. Scott is about 15 points ahead of him. And then JoJo is only about 40 points ahead of Scott. So you've got, a 20-point difference there from JoJo to Grizz. So you're literally looking at less than 100 points between all four of those positions. So that's going to be one to keep an eye on. And all of them have won their last matchup last week. So it's going to be interesting to see if somebody takes a downfall this week. And then right behind him, chasing him down like a little brother who didn't get the ice cream cone from the ice cream man, is our good friend Connor, just hanging out at 6-5, just praying and wishing that one of them will let him play the baseball game this week.
Hey, I was in first like 2 weeks ago too. I've had like some bad luck and some close matchups the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. It's a likely story, buddy.
And also too, that even though I'm running the team was drafted by the Ballsville pod. So
that's right. That is our pod crew. That makes sense.
So that's
in
our
third
pod
then.
crew. So yeah, but I've been running the team because I'm making all the transactions, making the trades, this and that. But yeah, I was drafted by the Ballsville, by the pod crew. So we all.
So have you made any trades in that league, Scott?
I've sent offers out, but I've not got anything. But
so this is still the Ballsville crew's drafted squad. This is not.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah, this was drafted. Yeah. So yeah, we all if we win, I think we were either donating the money or we're doing something with it. But
it's going back into the community some way or another.
Yeah.
I think at this point, if it wins, we should donate it to Jimbo.
Might have to. We'll see.
Let's move on to the next league. Second to last league is Katana. At the top spot, good friend Zubakis coming off of the ice fishing trip to come in here and just take first place with an 8-3 record, sitting at 1820. He's got almost about 100 points more than the next closest guy, so he's doing pretty good. Right behind him is Scott again, Ludes for Sale at 8-3, and Team Cash 3 and third at 8-3. So everybody from 1 to 3 is all tied the same record. They are behind him by a little bit, the 1652 for Scott and 1607 for Cash. So they're going to need him to take a loss and them to get the win, probably to take that spot over. But otherwise, they're all sitting pretty in the top spots. Right behind him is Mr. Ben doing this again at 7-4, one spot behind Team Cash. I know he loves to see that over and over again. He's got 1721 points for, which also I'm sure frustrates him, being that he is third in points for and sitting in fourth spot. Right behind him in fifth, who is probably even more frustrated because there's a little green line between him and where the guy ahead of him is with the same record, is Sorry for Cussin'. He's got 57 points, so he is going to need some help from another team. The interesting thing that I see here is a good game by Sorry for Cussin' and Ben doing this, and a so-so game and a loss for Cash 3 drops him from third all the way to out of the playoffs. So that he's in a real precarious position there. He's tied for first or out of the playoffs. So this is a real crucial week for him. If you're playing against him, do the best you can to beat him, because it would really, really be a stinger if you lose that one. Doesn't mean he's out, but that one would be a stinger. So especially if you're in the playoff hunt, that's the kind of wins you want to get against a team that's right there that could hurt him that bad. Last but not least, Sang Sung mid 10 league. We got Mr. Ben doing this sitting in the top spot at 8-3 with Sorry for Cussing right behind him with the same record at 8-3. The difference being only 65 or so points between the two of them. So there's definite possibility that that spot could swap a lot over the next few weeks. Cash 3 is sitting behind them in third at 7-4. And then C-Bomb, who is on the right side of the green line this time, is sitting at fourth at 6-5. Got a nice 17.03 score for him, which puts him in second at points 4, but not on record. And then in fifth place, tied at the same record, is Mr. Bender Rover 07. It's not Mr. Ben, it's Bender Over 07. Sorry, I added a Mr. there. But 15.75 is his points for, so he's going to need Connor to take a loss and him to get the win in order to jump Connor. I don't know if the points can be made up, at least not in 1 week anyway. So it's definitely going to be a nice little run there for the fun at the end. But I definitely feel like it's going to be a Mr. Ben doing this, or Sorry for Cussing, locking down their spot here in the next week or two.
I need a running back in this. If you're in this league, send me a running back. I need a running back in this league, and nobody's giving me fair offers. Apparently, we got some.
Well, we got 1 week left for the trade, so you better get your butt in gear, Connor, and start moving some offers out there. You got the new stash for it.
People are offering me like Breece Hall for J.K. Dobbins and stuff like that because he's on a bye week, and I need a running back, and they're like trying to get me. So,
all right, Mr. Ben is in the house here. What's up, Ben? We're getting to high stakes right now, and I know your name's all plastered all over high stakes. So he says, Breece Hall, send him now. All right, let's get into some high stakes.
That's the guy trying to send me J.K. Dobbins for Breece Hall.
All right, we're going to get into player statistics. I like to do this for my high stakes guys. This is what I do every week, and I get into the top 10 overall records. Coming in at number 1 at 9-2 with the most points out of those teams at 1731 is Mr. Ben. He's in the Phoenix League at 9-2. We have Zay 2403 and Gambit 1731 at 9-2. Zay 2403 and Beast 1717 at 9-2, and Mr. Ben doing this in Iceman 1524 at 9-2. So those are on 9-2 teams, right there. Well represented. Coming in with an 8-3 record, Zay 2403. You'll hear his name a lot, along with Mr. Ben. Colossus 1741.86. He's 8-3. Ketting 22 and Deadpool 1704, 8-3. Our man JoJo, who does the props and DFS and Wolverine 1670, 8-3. Zay 2403 and Sinister 1653. 8-3, and then a couple of Grizz Tony first places and Magneto and Nightcrawler 1723, 1667. Both teams are 7-4. That's your top 10 overall records. We'll go to top 10 overall most points. Coming in at number 1, who seems like he's been there all day, all year. Keith Richards and Gambit, 1767. He is in second place in that league, and he has the most points. So go figure. Zay 2403 and Colossus 1741. Mr. Ben and Phoenix 1731. Zay 2403 and Gambit 1731. Grizz Tony and Magneto at 1723. Zay and Beast at 1717. Kenny 22 and Deadpool at 1704. JoJo and Wolverine at 1670. Grizz Tony and Nightcrawler at 1667. And Kenny 22 and Phoenix at 1665. So not a real big, besides pretty much Keith Richards. Everyone else is pretty close. And then the top 4 most playoff positions. These are teams that are in the top 4 in the 10 leagues. Cash 3's in 5 of the leagues. He's in the top 4 playoff position. Mr. Ben's in 4. Zay's in 4. Grizz Tony and JoJo are both in 3. So that wraps up the statistics for high stakes. Now we'll get into the leagues themselves. And we will get into league number 1, Wolverine. We've got Garrett Cake JoJo, 8-3, 16-17. The Undesirables, Mr. Bennett, 7-4. Crow's E6, Love John, 7-4, and Gyno Garglers, Finch GDX at 6-5. Both JoJo and Love John are fresh out of shackles. So that is Wolverine number 1. So we'll get into number 2, and that is Beast. Zay 2403 is 9-2. He's on a 6-game rip. He's in at number 1. Rookie 86 is in at number 2. He's on a 5-game rip. 3-3 Henry Show. That's the CT Show. 7-4. He's on a 5-game rip. And the Moneymaker 76, Colin Black, it's 7-4. So you got 3 teams on huge winning streaks. That's Beast.
Scott, make sure you go in there and answer your DM when you get a chance, please.
Oh, okay.
I'm just kidding. You got the one. I'm teasing you about the picture because you got the one DM on the on your picture because it's Connor wanted to tease.
Oh, I got you.
The 99 on the other one.
Oh yeah, I see. Yeah, I'm usually pretty good about clearing those out. All right, 3 Gambit. We got Zay 2403. You're gonna hear his name quite a bit in first place, having a monster year. 9-2, 8-game rip. Keith Richards 72. I mentioned him earlier in the statistics. He is the number 1 overall points leader at 1767, but he's in second place at 8-3. Jinky Chubbs, that's Thrill Kill at 7-4. There's our boy Chiefs Life 13 at 7-4. So that is number 3 Gambit. So coming in at number 4, High 4 Colossus, Zay 2403. Coming in at number 1, 8-3. We got Dougie 1727 at 8-3. River Rats, Mr. Bennett 7-4 on a 4-game rip. And then Team Cash 7-4, coming in at 4th. As you can see,
those two are right next to each other again.
Yeah, battling it out, Cash and Mr. Ben. Actually, Zay's been really cleaning up these leagues, so he's doing really good too. That's number 4 Colossus. We'll go to number 5 Nightcrawler. Coming in number 1, we got Candlewicks, Grizz Tony. He's 7-4. We got Team Cash at 7-4. We got it's gonna be May. It's gonna be May soon. TV 76 at a 4-game rip. He's 6-5. And Pablo Escobar, he's at 6-5 with the Gila Monsters. Mr. Ben just outside at 6-5 also. That is Nightcrawler. All right. High 6 Phoenix Ghostbusters, Mr. Ben at 9-2. He's on a 7-game rip. And coming in at number 2, the Depth Crusaders, Part 2, our co-host, Sklam, at 9-2 on a nice little 4-game rip.
Yeah, look at my points for are so low though. I'm like so lucky I'm in that spot.
But you're in the playoff position. Team Ketting 22, 8-3, and then Scofflaw 86 comes in at 7-4. He's got some pretty low points to it. 15-23. That is Sean's league, Phoenix.
Coming in, my name in too.
How many high stakes did you get in?
3 of them.
3. All right, we have High Iceman, Mr. Ben, Toon Squad, coming in at 9-2. He's fresh out of shackles. TDX Orm at 7-4, comes in at 2nd. Grizz Tony at 7-4, and Truman Nadas, Ajon at 7-4. Team Zay 2403 is just outside of playoff spot at 6-5. So that is your 7 high Iceman. Coming in at number 8, everyone's favorite league. That's the Deadpool. Team Ketting 22, coming in at 8-3. Sigma 1234 comes in at 8-3 on a 6-game rip. There's Cash 3 at 7-4 on a 4-game rip. And Won't You Be My Neighbor, JoJo, at 6-5. And Zubikis dropped out of the top 4 at 5-6. He is on a 3-game hiatus.
Man, so that's brutal too, because his points 4 are not bad.
Yeah, his point
4.
So I think about 4 weeks ago, Zubikis was winning this league.
Yeah, I think he's just had a bad run here these last couple games, but I bet he has a team that's capable of coming back. He's probably got Puka on it, of course, right? And probably has Pacheco on it, and so I'm sure he'll have a couple of guys that he'll be able to make a run towards a playoff spot. He's only 2 games out of third, even, so it's not like he's 2 games out of third with 3 to go, right? So
yeah, like I said, a lot of things can change in these leagues. The one thing I've noticed, I've said before, these leagues are very, very, very competitive.
Yeah, we haven't seen very many in this high stakes at all that have locked in a spot yet. I don't think we've seen one locked in spot, have we?
No. Like I said, these have been very, very competitive. What's up, Mr. Ben? I see you're in there. Yeah. So these high stakes they're my favorite leagues to look at. I'm glad I'm running them because they're very, very competitive. Like I said, and a lot of good diehards in here.
Makes me wish I could have some of the mid stakes or the low stakes.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we'll go to Sinister. All right, we got Zay 2403, 8-3, top of the leaderboard again. Pablo Escobar comes in at 8-3. He's at a 4-game rip, but he's out of Shekels. Brocky Balboa, JoJo, he's creeping up in these leaderboards. It's 7-4. He's fresh out of Shekels. And Cash 3 is 6-5. He's dropped 3 games, no ducats, and he's kind of reeling a little bit. So that's Mr. Sinister. In that 4 playoff spot too. If you look at 5 and 6, they're both 6-5 also. So that is Sinister. And we will go to our final league. This is Magneto. Coming in at number 1, Grizz Tony, 7-4. Twin Sanity comes in at number 2. It's 7-4. GLC 76, it's 7-4 on a 4-game rip. And then the Mutant RB Bullies Cash 3 at 7-4. Mr. Ben is just outside, peeking in at 7-4. That is Magneto, and that is your redraft wrap up.
Before we pull out of this one, I just want to mention that all 5 of the top teams are at the same record at 7-4. There is literally a team right now that has the same record as first place who is not going to make the playoffs.
Yep. So
that's
like I said before,
crazy.
These leagues are so fun to watch because they're so competitive. And this is going to be really interesting going in the last couple weeks. I'll start looking at matchups and seeing who's playing who, and it'll be very, very interesting. So like I said, all the leagues are updated, and that wraps up high stakes. We're going to get into the raffle now. And I think Sean,
if you haven't already, make sure you type Go Bills in the comments so you can get in on this raffle. We got 9 people in right now, and there's 10 people watching, so we might have everybody in there, but just want to make sure if you haven't yet, do it now so that you can jump in before we do this.
Yeah, so go ahead and type in Go Bills, and you can be entered into the free raffle.
Man, so those high stakes are extremely competitive, man. Like, those leagues are fun, dude. And like the first league, I'm in the first, third, and sixth, and the third, I'm pretty much dead in the water. But in the first league, I'm just outside the playoffs and trying to do everything I can to sneak my way in on that one. But they're definitely fun. You're not going to get in on the drawing if you type Go Chiefs, just so you know. It has to be Go Bills in order to get in on it. So feel free not to get your free entry. It's all I'm saying.
He's being sarcastic there.
I know exactly what he's doing.
Go Jets. Go Jets.
Oh man, says the Packer fan with that mustache. You're gonna yell "Go Jets."
I just know that one's like your least favorite. So
I'm waiting.
Honestly, it would have to be the Patriots. In all honesty, it's more so because I don't know who I don't like more fan base wise between the Jets and Patriots. It's really, really close. So I'd have to lean Masshole though.
Me and Mr. been doing, or no, me and Daddy been doing this. Got a deal done on the pod. So.
Oh my God.
Oh, what'd you guys do? What'd you get? Name it out.
So I had 0 running backs. I had literally Alvin Kamara going to be starting with me, even though he's on a bye. So I had to do this. I had to do Alvin Kamara and Shakir for Bucky Irving and Josh Jacobs.
I mean, I don't hate it. I don't like it, but I don't hate it.
I'm like I said, I'm on the cusp. It's in that one league. We're all 6-5, and if I don't win, it doesn't matter. I'll probably be out of the playoffs. So
I know
it's not like Kamara's had like a run
Ben,
last few weeks.
I know Mr. Ben probably likes that deal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it helps him definitely. He's in first place already, so
he took advantage of you being distracted while you were on the air.
I'm not distracted. I had to do it. I mean, I can't afford to lose.
Oh, I love it.
You know
All right,
what
do you say? You want to kick this off, or what do you think, Scott?
How many people do we got in there?
We've got 9, so I'm assuming that's pretty close to who's here. So he said he sent it, so he's blaming you, Connor. By the way,
he's defending himself.
No,
all right,
yeah, he got a hell of a deal for sure.
All right, go Bills. Let's run it.
Right. I just wanted to say "Go Bills" on the screen here for a little bit longer. All right, here we go. Let's do this drawing. Once again, if you haven't entered Go Bills in the comments, you have now ran out of time because we're hitting the button. So here we go. 9 of you guys, 1 of you will win an entry. And clarify for us, Alex, if you are listening, exactly which entry it is. I believe it is a big game entry for our main big game $7 value.
I think it's a big game.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
If S Clam wins, you have to reroll.
I will do it again if I win. Absolutely.
Sarah, our producer.
Sarah's got it. Oh, look at that. See, that's good timing for Sarah. I'm glad she won.
Good job, Sarah.
All it cost her was a Go Bills.
Yep, a Go Bills.
Right? Hey, I don't think Sarah hates typing that out as much as some of you guys do.
Well, congratulations, Sarah. And that wraps up another episode of the Ballsville Pod. Before we go, please like and subscribe to our podcast. Please go on our website, theballsvillegame.com, for all your fantasy needs. You can go to the tools section and check out all the tools that I post on there every week, along with DFS and prop betting compliments of myself and JoJo. So please get those in. We are 8-2 this year. At least I am 8-2 this year for my DFS. So I am winning money. So if you are not on there taking advantage of that, you are leaving money on the table. So until Friday, for my co-host S. Clem, for the good old boy from West Texas, C-Bomb, working out deals online with Mr. Ben. Until Friday, folks, we are out.
That's a wrap.